After the Exodus, it became necessary for the Israelites to learn the ways of this God who brought them out of slavery from Egypt and led them through the wilderness until they arrived at the promised land. Moses was to be the Lord's lieutenant, a middleman bringing the instructions of God directly to his people. He is a holy God. They must reflect his character in their nature. They must be like him in holiness, and this has to reflect in the way they relate with God, with one another, and the way they treat foreigners living in their land. The instructions of God are geared towards making them better humans with the capacity for loving, for caring, for accommodating others, for being generous, and for behaving well within the community. Of course, showing respect for another was not ruled out of God's expectations from his people. These instructions, when they are accepted as norms and internalized, they will help the individual to grow in personal holiness. And this will translate into healthy community living and making the community a better place. Although they lived in communities, they lived together, yet God's emphasis was on individual holiness and personal effort. And this will form the basis for judgment. On the judgment day, each person will give an account of his personal conduct. The way and manner one treats a neighbor will certainly be a part of it. The communities was designed to offer the individual a platform to live out God's commandments and to show the extent to which one has accepted and has allowed the commandments of God to transform him. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do not twist justice. Do not spread lies. Do not nurture hatred in your heart. Do not seek revenge. Do not rob your neighbor. Pay workers. Do not steal from one another. Love your neighbor as yourself. These instructions sound simple, but they are not. When one obeys them as instructions coming from God, they transform such an individual and they make communities a healthy place to live in. A wonderful place where all call a home. A place where peace, love, harmony, prosperity, and community growth is encouraged. This is God's design for humanity. And to reflect God's righteousness, to reflect his character, his people must equally reflect these values, and these values will transform them. Until the next episode of the Moment of Reflection, I leave you in the hands of the loving Father, who has designed for us the best way to come to him, to know him, to love him, and to live happily in the communities he has made a dwelling place for us.